Yeah. I know we've spoken recently, but tell me how you been.
I have been busy, very busy, but I've been good. I'm very tired also. Someone had me drive to a completely different location, so.
So we're gonna cut that part out.
I think I would probably go to her place maybe like around 10 or 11, be with her throughout the entire day. And if it was like a Thursday where she had her residency, I'd be with her through the day, go home around like 6 or 7 or so, grab some food, take a quick nap, get back to her place by 11 so that we could go out to Webster Hall to DJ for the night and then get back home around like 2 or 3. And that was like my life for the first almost full year of doing that is when we had the residency and like traveling with her and booking everything. So it was a lot of stuff that I don't think I ever doubted I would be able to do it, but it's like being thrown into it and having to do it immediately, it was something where I was like, oh, I could tackle anything else because like this is shit that I never thought that I would be doing and staying on top of and like thriving in it. And I started to do it at a young age. So I was just like, oh yeah, I have the confidence to take any job after this. I am a person that gets bored very easily. So I don't like to stay in one thing too long. I feel like once I've learned to like master something, I need a challenge again. So if I know exactly what I'm doing, if every day for me is going to be the same and I feel like I can complete those tasks like with my eyes closed, it's time for me to go. And I like the idea of like just picking up and leaving no trace of myself places. And that's kind of weird, but it's like I love being able to do that where it's like I have no attachment to it. I can go and I just want a sense of freedom. Like I think really often when I experience things at work that are like frustrating or anything like that, sometimes I'm just like, I should just quit. And I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm just like, I don't need to deal with this. Like I'm sure that I'm going to find something else. I feel like you attract things. And if I know for sure that I'm going to attract something that fits me better, provides for me better, like respects me as a person with a personal life better, then it's like, if I believe that it's out there, then I'm going to find it and I can leave whatever isn't meeting that. It doesn't matter to me if you're saying, oh, now we offer 3X, if the 3X looks like shit. It doesn't matter to me if you're saying like, now we're having these other POC in our ads, if you're not doing anything for those communities. And it's like, especially big brands and stuff reaching out to different types of models and things like that. It's like, but what are you doing for these communities that you're trying to get to purchase your things? Are you giving back to them? Are you giving them money? Are you helping them because their areas are being gentrified? Are you doing something to put a stop to that? Are you like doing anything? And most of the time it is no. Like the answer to that is no. So representation for me is like, I want to see myself as my whole self in that. I want to see my face. I want to see my values. I want to see my communities. I want to see all of those things. I went to a job interview one time before I started this position, and it was in fashion. And I asked them about like what their dynamic is, like, because I was looking on their website to see if they had anything talking about like their commitment to diversity and inclusion, anything like that. I was like, yeah, I was doing research on the company. I couldn't find anything addressing diversity or inclusion. So can you like speak on that? And the lady was just like very caught off guard at first. And she was like, oh, well, we don't have anything posted about it because we do it. And I was like, you do what? And she's like, well, we have diversity and inclusion. Like if you look around this room, like this is a woman-led company and this is this and this. And she was just pointing out to like there being women in the room. But it was also just like, and she said, if you look around, you can see that there are other like people of color and stuff. And when I was in that office, I only saw white women and white men. And the only people of color I saw were going around and emptying the trash. So it's like, this is not, that's what I'm talking about, where it's like, this is not representation. This isn't diversity or inclusion. Like, I don't know why people, I would rather you just be upfront about it, where it's like, oh, we're just not, like, we don't fully understand the whole grasp of that, or we're a bit ignorant to this. I'd rather you say that than just be like, oh, well, look around. look at that black person right there that's emptying the trash. Look at this girl right here in front of you. It's like, that's not the same thing. And you saying that shows that you don't even understand where I'm coming from. So there's naturally those pressures where it's like, okay, I know that I don't want to fuck this up for the next person, which is like, that's sad that we have to consider that, because I'm certain that no straight white man has ever had to consider that ever in his life. But those are things that we have to think about sometimes. But I also think that it's extremely important to encourage other people that's like, yeah, I made it this far, but like, if you want to do something different, or if you think that like I'm fucking up in some type of way and you would do things differently, or like anything like that, that's fine also. Like the way that you want to, the road that you want to forge for yourself is completely like your right as well. And you should never let anyone pressure you into having to represent everybody and having to like not fuck this up for everybody, because that shouldn't be how it is. Even though I know that it is in a lot of places, but it doesn't mean that it's right. I don't know. I don't want to say the education is worthless, because I'm sure that I've used it in some way. Like if anything, my degree has helped me bullshit things in my resume, because it's communication studies, which you can just apply to a lot of different things. So it's been helpful in that way, where it's like it's gotten my foot in the door with different jobs. But I didn't want to go to school. And like from a very young age, I just always wanted to be like, but I just want to travel and explore and do this. Like, I don't want to have to do these regular daily things. And my mom knows that about me. Like, she accepts it completely about me now. And I think she just like lets me do my thing. And she like will check in and be like, are you good? Are you sure? But aside from that, she's never tried to, after college, she's never tried to like direct me in any type of way. She's just like along for the ride, which is nice. I think as I got older, I learned to appreciate my mom a lot more, because I know that she was trying to like expose me and expose my brother to things that other people that were from our neighborhoods didn't get exposed to. And, you know, she tried her best. She tried to work so that she could help put money in our household, but she also wanted to make sure like we were close to our family, and that we were exposed to different cultures, and that we took pride in who we were as having like a Black heritage and having a Japanese heritage and all of these things. We would go to our Japanese picnics every year and like stay in touch with the community that my grandma was from, and like learn about the history of all of these things. So I appreciate my mom a lot for that. Something that I do a lot is like I'll drive through drive around areas and things, and I kind of zone out sometimes. And when I see things that have like amazing architecture, anything that's like just different than just a standard building, and you see that it's ran down and like it hasn't been maintained or anything like that, I just think about like, can you imagine how amazing this looked when it was new? Like how exciting it probably was for people to see this, for who was coming here, like what this building was made for. Can you imagine what this looked like when the paint was fresh and like the doors were newly open? Like things like that, especially driving around Black neighborhoods and driving through Lamert and all of these things where it's just like, it's some of the last Black neighborhoods, and seeing them be gentrified, or seeing it be something where it's like the city is trying to do a lot of things where it's more complicated for people that are from these areas to thrive here, where it's like whether it's raising the prices or selling the malls to other people so that they can make like these different types of apartment buildings, when the city itself had tried to get money together and the community itself tried to get money together to like create these things that were for the community, shopping areas, affordable housing, things like this. And it's like, so you're going out of your way so much because you don't want us to have these things. Hundreds of thousands of people have dreams of like, oh, I'm going to go to New York and like make this life for myself or whatever. But it's like, for me, yes, it's that. But it was also like, that is where my mom's parents met. Like they met in a classroom in New York when my grandma got out of the relocation camp. Like she started taking college courses and she met my grandpa there. And it's like, for this to be a woman from Terminal Island who had just came back from like school in Japan, and for this to be a man from Guyana, and for them to meet in this place, like what are the odds of that happening? And then for them to create a family and a legacy and all of these things. So it's like cultures are so important, and it's such like a it's like the blueprint of so many communities. Like Los Angeles, anywhere you're going, once you learn the history of these places, it's just like, how could you not be proud of being from these areas? And like Juneteenth is a huge thing out here, specifically like in Leimert. There's always a huge Juneteenth like festival, and it's amazing and it's beautiful. And seeing that it's like the city was trying for so long to like schedule city planning around that specific date, where it's like, oh no, you guys can't have the festival here because we're gonna be doing this and like doing all these things, so you're not gonna be able to park here, you're not gonna be able to have access to like Leimert in general, like seeing all of these things, because I follow a lot of the different pages on Instagram, like Leimert Park Uprising, I think is one of them. But just seeing like them post the struggles and post like the paperwork where it's like, we have all of these paperwork that where it's like, it shows that we did our due diligence, we did our planning, we paid our bills, like we did all of these things. And now they're acting like it doesn't exist. They're acting like these papers don't exist, that we never did any of these things. And they're trying to like basically just toss us out and remove us. And it's so sad to see, because it's like, y'all already take so much from Black and brown communities. Like we literally just ask to maintain the things that are important to us. My grandmother is just like this, she was this amazing woman who was like born in Terminal Island, which is a tiny community out here that's it was basically made up of Japanese immigrants that came straight from Japan. It was a fisherman village. Her father was a fisherman, but it was like a small community that like still kept the values that they brought over from Japan. So she was born and raised out there, and then went back to Japan to go to school and get an education. And then World War II happened, and she got letters from family members that were like, oh, I think things are starting to get bad between the US and Japan. So like, you should try to get home as soon as you can. She caught a boat back. And then a little bit after that was when the bombing happened. So she came back home, was with her family. And then that's when they were forced into the different relocation camps. So she was actually living in the camps with her family for a few years. And she like started the library at the camp that she was at. She was at Manzanar. And she was the one that like created the library there, got the books there so that children had books to read and that they could still get an education while they were forced to live in these camps. So it's like things like this where it's like, I have such pride in who I come from. If my grandparents could make it doing all of these things, and like my dad's parents were equally as amazing, to the point where it's like both of my grandmothers have passed now. They passed in the most recent years. So like one passed 1 year, and then the other one passed last year. So it was like I lost both of them within a year of each other. The only one left is my grandpa on my dad's side. And it's like, even just hearing the stories about like the life that he lived. He's a man, like he and my granny were both from Tennessee. And it's like they met when they were, I think in high school, at like a band concert where they were like, she was in the band and they were at different schools, they met, and then they started to go to like school dances together, and they started courting each other like that way. And my grandpa was telling me like, when he and his friends wanted extra money on the weekends, sometimes they would get picked up in a truck with a whole bunch of other people and taken out to like the countryside to pick cotton for the day to get money. And that's insane to me. And he said it so casually. Like he said it to me like 2 years ago, just so casually, just like mentioning it. And he's like, yeah, joking about it. Like, yeah, my friends and I like didn't want to pick. So we would just like fill up the bags with different things and like try to get our money at the end of the day. And then they caught on, and then they left us there, and we had to like hitchhike back home. And so he's like laughing about these things, but I'm just like, that is my grandfather. Like that's his history. That's his lived experience. The like jazz concerts that he would tell me that he and my granny used to go to, seeing legends just like at small little clubs. And I'm just like, that's culture, that's history. These are things that are passed down. They have all of these like signed vinyls from people that they met and saw multiple times in person, and that like they started to get to know them on a personal level, because that's just like the community that they forged for themselves wherever they went. So it's like those types of things have me so proud of who I am and like who I represent and my history in general. So yeah, I think that's a big part of like why I will not let people talk to me crazy or like get me fucked up, because I'm just like, I could just leave all of this. Like, I know who I am and I carry that with me wherever I go. So whether it's here or it's somewhere else, it's like I know who I am.